I don't even need a hook to begin this video. I just gotta show you these two images of flagship performance sedans from AMG, because this speaks volumes, and even with no words, the writing is on the walls. How is it that we went from this to this? Listen, I love AMG. I've had first-hand experience with them, and I've actually grown up around one. They're my favorite cars, so to use this example hurts in a very, very different way to me. But I can use more than just AMG. Look at this. How do we go from this to this for M cars, and this to this for RS vehicles? What on earth has happened to these in-house tuning brands? To answer that question that I think everybody is asking, even though it's just me asking right now, I am gonna hit both sides of the argument. The argument that states in-house brands have fallen off. Firstly, this is an opinion I don't entirely agree with, but it has some truth to it. Like everything in life, to see how someone or something has gotten to this point, you have to look at its origins. Wow, how original. AMG, which stands for Aufrecht Melcher Grossespa. The last names of founders Hans Werner Aufrecht and Erhard Melcher, and Grossespa, the town. It was founded in 1967 as an independent engineering firm specializing in performance improvements for Mercedes-Benz vehicles. Amazing concept, I must say. They started with race engines, but then expanded to making custom road cars, starting off with the R107 and C107, along with, of course, the W123, W124, and W129, and some more. You've probably heard of some of their initial crazy creations, Hammer, where they took a regular family sedan, the W124, and slapped in a 5-liter V8 into it. Late 80s and early 90s, this was unheard of. Following the success of the Hammer, Mercedes officially started selling AMG cars in their own dealerships. Talk about a come-up. And then, in 1999, they were purchased outright by Daimler and thus became a part of Mercedes-Benz. Actually, they became the in-house tuning brand of Mercedes-Benz, and anything else would have been unacceptable, all things considered. Then we've got the M division. They had a bit of a different come-up compared to AMG in the sense that they were created by BMW to facilitate their pretty successful racing program during the 60s and 70s. Their first ever car was the 3-liter CSL. Like, how do you even go and make one of the most legendary cars in history as your very first car? That is insane. The car itself was built as a lightweight homologation special. You'd find a lot of these types of cars, homologation cars I mean, during this era, where if you wanted to race in a certain series, you needed to make road cars for homologation. After everyone saw how good and successful the 3-liter CSL was, M cars became more mainstream and started popping up as consumer vehicles, with the first ever M-badged car being the M1. What is going on? Like, the Hammer, M1, these cars, they just casually made some legendary cars and call it a day. It's just, wow. Then we can look at Audi's RS division, beginning in the 80s from Quattro models, and although yes, the Quattro is a legendary vehicle, RS cars didn't have the same blockbuster appearance that M division and AMG cars had. They still made a mark on the market and were arguably just as insane. Case in point, the RS2. The difference now is that we can't really think of any crazy or legendary car from these brands that are made today, not at least from the top of our heads. I can say, yes, the AMG 1, the SLS Black Series, the GTR Black Series are all insane vehicles, but we kind of fall short from the other two. Apart from, of course, the 3-liter CSL homage. But these are what I'd call unique cases because they don't highlight the brand as a whole, whereas the other cars mentioned before actually did highlight the brand as a whole. They were the statement pieces, the cars everyone knew about and gave the entire brand picture. Plus, they were also the cars that were being sold to everyone at the time. Thus, when you saw an AMG or M car, you can see the crazy stuff they had to offer. If you look at an AMG or M car now, they're crazy for sure, but they just don't have that oomph anymore, if you know what I mean. You won't be like, wow, while seeing one. You'll definitely turn your head, but the reaction will be more tame. Perhaps that's nostalgia or just survivorship bias, but if I was to speak in today's terms, yeah, those cars had way more going for them than today's vehicles, and I shall demonstrate with the latest AMG flagship, the GT 4-door coupe. I am very glad I delayed writing the script, because now I got a great example. How is this what AMG stands for? Seriously, it's not the electric part. I have no issues with that, surprisingly, even though AMG, in my opinion, would and should never be electric. It's the fact that the looks, the entire car itself, and what it stands for is not AMG. Rather, it's 2026 and modern cars. Maybe they have to make it this way in order to keep up with the trends, but I genuinely believe these cars have a pass and do not need to keep up with trends, because they are the trend setters. M cars, AMGs, RS vehicles, they all set the trend they created. People followed in their steps, and to see them now instead fall for the same electrification, big screens, weird design trends is extremely tragic. Audi RS vehicles are just, I don't even know. M cars, sure, they aren't entirely bad, but they're boats, and so are AMG hybrids. But worse, because some of them have 4 cylinders. I don't get how these in-house tuning brands who built their entire audience on the crazy stuff they built suddenly decided that the reason their cars are purchased by consumers is due to their modern design aesthetics and tech fetish interiors. Of course, with an emphasis on horsepower with the help of hybridization and electrification while simultaneously shrinking the size of the engine. The same brands that made the E24 M635 CSI, the Hammer, the E30 M3, the SL73, the E39 M5, props to BMW for not actually shrinking the engine size, good job. Audi will likely keep the V8 for the RS6, but it will be hybridized and weigh as much as Mount Everest. The question becomes, why? Why? I really don't know, but I do know there are emissions and safety regulations in place, so that could be to blame. Perhaps we enthusiasts are just stupid and live in the past, and modern consumers love what these brands are doing, but C63 sales figures paint a different picture, and M5 sales figures also paint a different picture. Because the Touring makes up 50% of its sales. Without it, the M5 would have a massive slump compared to the previous generation. At least good on BMW for realizing and giving the people what they want. An M5 wagon. Mercedes did somewhat come to their senses and a V8 is coming back, but this new GT 4-door, I don't even know what to say. These are just German in-house tuning brands. I'm not even going to get into Nismo right now, that is literally worthy of an entire video in and of itself. Does that mean all in-house tuning brands have fallen off? No way. The world and life is like a scale. When one side gets too heavy, the scale tips. And then when the other side gets heavier, the scale tips again. We now have other in-house tuning brands making inroads. The Magma cars from Genesis seem promising, but they haven't hit the market fully for us to know. We got Hyundai's N division. That's pretty good, but they've mostly dabbled with EVs, if I'm not mistaken. SRT, I guess they're just doing their own thing. 777 horsepower. The slump in in-house tuning brands also opens up market opportunities for already existing but lesser known brands like Skoda's RS division. Very underrated brand now. They are owned by VW, so who knows if they're gonna make anything like that. Toyota's GR division is actually pretty cool right now. They just released the GR GT. They got the GR Yaris, the GR Corolla, the Supra, the RAV4, which is funny, the GR86, the new Celica. That is pretty interesting. So yeah, I find this video to be way too negative, so I'll have a positive version out soon. Now, if you live in the same city as me here and drive an SUV and want to get featured in an upcoming video, email me here. You see, am interviewing people and asking them about their SUVs. Anyway, I'll see you guys soon.